Hey readers, I am so excited because we are doing another one of our author interviews. Today we have Megan O'Russell. She's the author of Girl of Glass. We're going to be talking to her all about her books. If you are joining us live, go ahead and hit up those comments. Let us know who you are and if you've read any of her stories before or if you're excited to learn a little bit more about them. If you have questions, if you have comments, go ahead and hit us up. We will be taking those a little bit later in the show, and we are going to jump in and talk to Megan all about her story, Girl of Glass. So Megan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
I know you have been super busy lately, and you've actually hung out with me recently. You had a Young Adult Edition episode where we talked all about Girl of Glass and dystopian novels. So I'm really excited about that. If you guys have not seen that yet, make sure that you check that out. We've got people jumping in. Amber says hello, and Freedom also says hello. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. We do appreciate you being here. If you've got questions for Megan, go ahead and leave those below. Megan, what do we need to know about Girl of Glass?
It is a mid-apocalyptic sci-fi with a chemically induced vampire. So it sort of blends genres and looks at the end of the world from the point of view of the upper 1% of someone who has been chosen to survive in comfort. So it's a bit of a different take on dystopia.
And I love that. I love when people kind of branch out from what traditional dystopia is because there's so much room within this genre to do all of these amazing things. And I love it when people are actually a little bit on the adventurous side and check out things that aren't necessarily the most streamlined version, right?
Yes.
Now, you have a lot of cool things going on. And I want to know if you could say one reason and only one. I want you to give you this your best thought. What's the one reason people should read Girl of Glass?
Oh, I
I hit you with a hard one.
I think because I don't want to say ask an important question because that's weird, but it very much asks what your responsibility is to those in need, to those who are suffering at the end of the world, as opposed to those who are doing quite well for themselves. And I feel like in this world now more than ever, figuring out what the requirements of compassion are is very important, especially for young readers. And so that is if I had to pick one reason, it would be because we need compassion now more than ever. And there is no reason that we shouldn't start looking for it within works of fiction.
Fantastically said. And I love that books have the ability to do that. They can communicate so much. Now, I want to know, Megan, you've got a lot going on in this story. Is there anything from your own life that you've written in there? Is that something that's kind of been influenced by things that you have gone through? Do we know these vampires or?
I mean, sort of, yes. I think there are definitely elements of the bitter, the savior complex, those sorts of things. Um, Actually, my husband brought up the really strange point today. I I'm not supposed to go out in the sun very much at all. I'm technically allergic to the sun, so SPF and umbrellas are my best friend. And he's like, "Isn't it weird that you wrote this whole series where the sun kills people? How funny." And it had never occurred to me that was like totally a thing of like me not wanting to go out in the sun ever. And then here's this book where they don't do that. So that made it in, and I didn't even realize it.
That's amazing. I love when real life influences stories and we don't actually realize it until after the fact. I've definitely had that happen in some of my books before. And Amber is down in the comments yelling vampires. She's super excited for this one. Lots of little hearts there. Amber, thanks so much for joining. We appreciate you being here. Amber is also a fantastic author who is going to be doing an interview with me very, very soon. I will get you details on that, but she is doing one of our author interviews. So we appreciate you being here, Amber. Now, you mentioned your husband, Megan. I know the two of you get to have a lot of really close work relationship time together. What is it that you guys are doing, actually?
Right now, well, we're both still performing. We are both actors by trade. That's our day job. Weird. But we are currently performing in The Wizard of Oz. We just finished the national tour of The Wizard of Oz, so we traveled to 38 states in 8 months. We spent a lot of time on the bus. We also we write music together. So we are currently working on writing another children's production. We have two shows that we've written in the past. We also perform a lot of live music together, which is super fun. And he is my frontline editor so that my publishers don't know exactly how bad I am with commas. He makes sure I don't embarrass myself.
That's a thing, right?
It is a thing because you don't want them to know that, yes, there were actually 200 commas out of place, not six. Sorry.
Yes. We don't tell the publishers that, no. That's a
No, they
secret.
think we're so like polished before it ever gets to them, and they don't know the hours of like tears that comes before we hand in our first draft. It's the 12th. It's the 12th draft.
It really is. And that's just a piece of real author life, guys. That happens to all of us. It's a thing.
Yeah, so real.
Now, before we move on to talking more about your books, I actually want to talk just a little bit more about your experience as an actress because I feel like that's one of the coolest things ever. I've always loved acting. I've always thought that that would be an incredible job, and I never had the opportunity, aside from like school plays and stuff, to get into this. And so I really just want to hear just a little bit more about this. So tell me, like, what your daily life looks like. What does going on tour look like? Just kind of give us an overview of being a fabulous actress.
Sure. So tour, I mostly work in regional theaters. And so what that means in theater terms is that I do a lot of work in like Pennsylvania, Florida. I'm heading up to perform in Alaska for a month. So when you're there, you're basically doing 8 shows a week, we'll say. So you have your show schedule and you show up at half hour and you do your show and then you go back to cast housing, whatever that might be. And then when we are on the road, you it's a very different schedule. You wake up at like 6, 7 in the morning. You get on the bus, try and sleep under your bus seat till about noon. I recommend a sleeping bag. It really helps. You wake up, you hope that there's a decent restaurant for lunch. Get back on the bus to like 3:30. Get to the hotel, hopefully have an hour or two at the hotel. Take the bus to the theater, have mic check, make sure you actually know where the stage is. That's an issue at times. You don't know how to get to the stage, how to get back to your costumes, and where the emergency exit is.
All
Then you
important things to know.
get back to your hotel at like 10:45. Go to bed at like 2, so you've had time to like shower and eat more food, and then you wake up the next morning and do it again. So it's sort of when you're at a regional theater, it's a nice, lovely, relaxing experience, and when you're on tour, you spend a lot of time sleeping on the floor, but it's cool because you get to perform at some of the most beautiful venues. I got to perform at like the Fox Theater in Detroit, which is gorgeous. And you travel to amazing places, but you sleep on a bus floor for a lot of hours.
Yeah. So, of all the places that you've been, where is your favorite? And then, second part to this question, are any of these locations that you've been to something that has influenced what you've written in your stories?
Uh Absolutely, it's influenced the stories. I don't think it could not. I think the most direct influence from tour is in my series, The Chronicles of Maggie Trent. Book 3, which book 2 hasn't been released yet, but book 3 is definitely set in a fantasy version of Savannah, Georgia. Like it can't be argued. Like that's what it is. It's a fantasy version of Savannah, Georgia. And it's so cool because I didn't know while we were on tour that I was going to get to spend any time in Savannah. It just so happened to be where the bus stopped on a non-show night, so we got to go play in Savannah, and it was so cool. And now it's in a story. As for my favorite places, I would have to say my favorite place I've gotten to perform is probably Alaska. I spent 3 summers living right outside Denali National Park. It is one of the most inhospitable and beautiful places in the world. It's gorgeous. Surviving there is really hard, even though we have all the luxuries of like food deliveries and people who they feed employees there because you're not going to get groceries on your own. It's just not possible. But it's rough, but it's gorgeous. You can't
That
beat
is so awesome. That is so much fun. I've had a number of friends and even relatives who absolutely love the area, are dying to go visit. People who haven't actually been there. So anywhere up in Alaska is just like really cool for them.
it. It's amazing. It's so huge. You can't actually understand what you're seeing.
Wow.
Because Denali, which is the mountain that the national park is based around, is so big it creates its own weather system. So it
Really?
will create clouds that it hides within. So it'll be a clear sky and you can't see the mountains because it has created its own storm systems. Like,
That's incredible.
it's unreal and it's you can't understand how it's possible that it's that big, but it is. It's
Wow. That is so neat, and I feel like that needs to go into a book.
That's true. It should.
Yeah. That's for your next series, whatever that happens to be. You just gotta base it there.
Perfect.
Okay. So I want to talk about your other books. I know you have a number of series out. Tell us what they are and what we need to know about them.
Well, we have the series that I mentioned where the third book is going to be in Savannah. That is The Chronicles of Maggie Trent, which is sort of Chronicles of Narnia meets Doctor Who, if you will. It's about a girl who was a witch in our world on Earth, and she was dragged against her will to the Sirens' realm. And in the Sirens' realm, there are stories that take place in the Sirens' realm, but much like Doctor Who, where there is the base storyline that's happening, but you also have your episodic storyline. Uh, from the Sirens' realm, just as Maggie, who is our protagonist, was dragged out of Earth, there are ways to get to other magical worlds. And so
Okay.
it follows her explorations through these other worlds as she's learning to survive in the Sirens' realm. So it has those many world opportunities. Hence,
You had me at Narnia.
yeah. Then I also have The Tale of Bryan Adams. The first book is How I Magically Messed Up My Life in 4 Frickin' Days. It's a sort of tongue-in-cheek look at modern magic. It's about a boy who lives in Manhattan, living his geeky 17-year-old life, and he finds a cell phone that has a magic app on it that can basically do everything, and he figures out that he's actually a part of this whole magical world. But it all starts with a cell phone abandoned in the back of a cab, and things just get a lot worse from there. But it's very much like typical teenager trying to survive. There are mole people who live under the subway tunnels because you have to. He sets his dad's penthouse on fire. Like a
Ooh.
lot of it in Central Park and Bryant Park, it's my little like hi there, kind of miss you to living in New York City. So it's
Oh, that's really sweet. I like that.
yeah, it's fun, it's weird. And then I have a series that will be reemerging shortly called The Tethering, but it'll be coming back out into the world. It'll be great.
That's so exciting. So you've got a lot of different opportunities for people to get involved inside of your stories. There's so much variety in there, which I love as well. And you, how long have you been writing? I should ask that before I jump in.
Probably seriously considering myself an author about 7 years.
Okay.
There was dabblage before that, but for like I am an author, I write books, this is what I do, about 7 years. There were many, many bumps in the road uh, in getting book one published, but it has all been worth it. It was a very long journey, but here we are.
Now, before we wrap this up, I do want to know, how do you kind of balance your life? Because you do have a very strong presence in your acting life, but also in your writing. So how do you kind of balance doing both of those things, especially when you're out on tour?
It's insane. It's it's not easy. On tour, when I was awake on the bus, if I had power on the bus, which didn't always happen, I would be working on my laptop. Then you get to the hotel and you try and get a little bit of exercise in so your body doesn't hate you. And then all the times at the theater that I could spare when I had a power outlet, I would be working. And then you get back to the hotel, and assuming there's nothing super cool near your hotel, then you work until it's time to go to sleep. So you just work until your brain turns to mush. Um, in at a regional theater. I'm actually lucky enough to be performing and living at home right now, which is crazy. It doesn't happen often. Uh, it makes it a little bit easier because you have a lot more control of your schedule, so I can wake up in the morning and I know what my show schedule is. So I can wake up and I know based on my time I can get 1,500 words written before the matinee. And then I'll have an hour and a half between shows that I can work so I can get some editing done then. But you just very carefully manage your time and hope you don't go insane.
That's a very good point, hoping that you don't go insane.
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there.
You survived this far, so I think you're doing well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, listen, guys, if you are joining us on our live or on our rebroadcast, go ahead and jump down to those comments and let us know if you have questions for Megan or you want to give her a little bit of book love because you have read her books or you are going to soon. Check out her stories. If you are on the rebroadcast, we will be jumping into the comments later, whether you are here on facebook.com/k.m.robinson over on our YouTube page or on our blogs. We would love to hear from you guys. We will get you answers just as soon as we can. We love hearing from you and we want to see more of you. And speaking of which, if you're here hanging out with me and you want to see a different author hanging out on and live broadcast with me for these interviews, let me know. We've got an entire series of author interviews that we are doing right now and continuing in the upcoming weeks. So I would love to hear who you would love to see on camera as well. And once again, if you've got last minute questions, now is the time as we are wrapping this up. So Megan, one little bonus question before we give everybody your social media links. If you could be in any show ever, what would you be in and what part would you want?
It changes often, but right now I would have to say Come From Away, and I don't care who. I would be anyone. It doesn't matter. They're all wonderful. It's really cool. It's actually a Broadway musical about this small town in Newfoundland, Newfoundland. There we go. I got it. Where on 9/11, when they had to divert all the planes, this town of 10,000 suddenly had 7,000 refugees
Oh, wow.
into their city. And they were stuck there for days because the American airspace was closed. And so it's the stories, and it's a very joyful telling of all of these people who came together to accept all of these outsiders and bring them into their home and get them home. And so it's just an amazingly beautiful story, and the music is fantastic. So I would love to be a part of that production.
That is fantastic. I don't actually know much about that, so now I need to do some research because I'm really
excited. Amazing. The music is so good. It's great. Yeah. Look it up. Beautiful.
Fantastic. All right. So before we get into your author stuff, tell everybody what they need to know about your musicals that you have written, the music that you have written. What do they need to know about that side of your life? And then we're going to get into all of your links for your author stuff.
Absolutely. There are 2 shows that are currently living their life in the open world. It's Second Chances, the thrift shop musical, which my husband and I wrote the music for in conjunction with the patriarch of the theater company we work for most often. And then Princess Camp, the musical, which is a children's theater production about a little girl who wants to be her own kind of princess and not just wear ball gowns. Information on those can be found at russellcomposition.com. And Russell Compositions with an S at the end. .com. And yeah, there are also frequently links on my author Facebook page that connect the 2 sites as well.
Fantastic. So guys, make sure you check that out as well. And Megan, where can everybody hit you up for all of your author stuff? Give us your website and your social links.
It is meganorussell.com is my website. You can also find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. They are all there. I hang out. It's half theater life, half author. It's a lot of insanity. But yeah, Megan O'Russell, you can find me everywhere.
Thanks so much for coming on today, Megan. I really appreciate all of your time hanging out with us, for coming on all of my shows, because you've been around quite a bit lately with me. We're definitely going to have you back, and I appreciate you coming on to talk all about your stories today. And you're getting lots of love in those comments down below.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. All right, guys, here's the deal. If you are a fan of author interviews, if you are a fan of hanging out on these live broadcasts, if you are a fan of books in general, I want to know who else you want to see on these live broadcast interviews. Go ahead and hit me up in those comments, tag your favorite authors, and let them know they should come hang out with me too. I'm K.m. Robinson, author of the Golden Trilogy, the Jada Duology, the Legends Chronicles, Virtually Sleeping Beauty, the Goose Girl and the Artificial, the Sinking, the Revolution of Jack Frost, and the Siren Wars Saga. And you can hang out with me at k.m.robinsonbooks.com for more author interviews just like this, more live broadcasts. You can actually check out my YouTube page for all of the rebroadcasts from all of these different shows. There's fan Q&A, there's trailers, there's interviews, there's all sorts of amazing things that you can check out over there, as well as my brand new IGTV channel, which has exclusive content over there, including several brand new shows I think you guys are really going to like, so make sure you check those out. And of course, hit me up at k.m.robinson books on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and Snapchat, and all the social media platforms, because I'm everywhere, guys. I'd love to hear from you. Send me some comments, send me some DM love, and we will be friends. We'll do all sorts of fun and fabulous interviews. And make sure you stay tuned, because tomorrow we have author Freedom Matthews joining me for a brand new interview. We're going to be talking all about her brand new book, Inherited. It's pirates. It's amazing. She's actually said that it's pitched as Jane Austen meets Pirates of the Caribbean, which, hi, we all need to be here for this book. Super excited about it, and I would love for you guys to come join us. That is at 3 p.m. tomorrow. I had to check my time schedule there. 3 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. Come join us. It's going to be lots and lots of fun. Freedom's super stylish, too, so she's probably going to have some fun outfits on, and I'm going to have to up my game just a little bit. So we will see Freedom tomorrow, and throughout the rest of the week, we do have Bethany Avery joining us on Wednesday, Eliza Tilson joining us on Wednesday. We've got Karen Tomlinson, Amber Ardul joining us the next week. So it's going to be lots and lots of fun. And we have some amazing interviews over on the blog. So if you want to learn more about Megan, we did a blog interview with her. It just went live before we went live. And if you are here on Facebook, it's in the comments. If you're on YouTube, it's going to be in the show notes below, so you can check out her questions. We asked 10 rather quirky questions, got some great answers back, totally different than what we talked about here. So if you want to learn a little bit more, if you want all of her links, all of the things you need to know about Megan, over on blog.k.m.robinsonbooks.com right now, or click the link in the show notes, wherever it happens to be located for you, above or below, and check out everything that we had to say within that interview. And there's more interviews over there as well. If you've got questions, if you've got comments, and if you have people you want to see on the show, or if you want to come on this show, go ahead and let me know, and I will see you tomorrow for a brand new author interview. And if you did not check out our Young Adult Edition show earlier today, make sure you check it out. We had author Annie Sullivan. We talked all about retellings. We gave out a list of 40-plus fairy tale retellings, and you can get that also by going to blog.k.m.robinsonbooks.com. Until next time, stay inspired. Bye-bye.